Yes, you can still feed the birds in London, but instead of tuppence a bag, it may cost you half a quid or perhaps €1.
Traditional London, with its royalty and formal air, is alive and well, but it's being buoyed by an increasingly unified Europe and a cutting-edge arts scene. Shakespeare might have said all of London's a stage. A drama of life where imperial history is the backdrop and modern business and art provide the action. British traditions thrive, but a hip youth culture of Britpop and techno is sweeping the world. It may seem contradictory that the legendary British stiff upper lip could spawn these irreverent trends, but that's the nature of London, an international trendsetter, frequently surprising and always a force to be reckoned with. And these days, with England's entry into the European Union, London's become more international than ever. The hottest new place to get a bird's eye view of the city is the British Airways London Eye. Taller than the Statue of Liberty, it's the largest observation wheel of its kind ever built. It's 450 feet high and weighs 1,600 tons. This giant wheel was part of a national celebration to ring in the 21st century. Moving at a snail's pace, the entire ride takes about 30 minutes. The Eye's construction was truly a cooperative feat, using parts from all over Europe. Modern London is still getting used to having its new image of being part of the European Union. The British Isles have always held the continent somewhat at arm's length. But there's a growing class of business people here who are multilingual, thrive on continental cuisine, and are even finding spouses in other European countries. Today, some Londoners live here on weekends while commuting to their jobs on the continent during the week.
London is a city that for nearly a century ruled a quarter of the world. It's a city that's long held sway over our consciousness. It's influenced our past, the way we think, and the way we live.
This is Trafalgar Square, the center of London. It's dedicated to Admiral Lord Nelson, one of England's great military heroes. Nelson died fighting Napoleon at the victorious Battle of Trafalgar in 1805, an era when the British Navy dominated the seas. As a political and cultural force, London has often set the pace for the Western world. Yet for all of London's strength, in many ways, this is a culture of contradictions. It flaunts a royal pedigree, yet it has the world's second oldest parliamentary democracy. Standing on the banks of the River Thames, you can peer at the waterway that has been the lifeblood of London since ancient Roman times. The familiar spires of Tower Bridge span the river. For 2,000 years, this river has borne witness to London's remarkable history. Presiding over the Thames is the medieval Tower of London. The tower has served as a royal palace, a fortress, a prison, and a treasury. William the Conqueror built the oldest part 1,000 years ago to keep control over London's native Saxon population. Henry III used it as a menagerie, housing a polar bear and 3 leopards given to him by the Holy Roman Emperor.
Visitors thrive on the tower's gory history. Richard III had his henchmen kill 2 young princes here, and Henry VIII executed 2 of his 6 wives on the Tower Green.
Sir Thomas More and Lady Jane Grey both met their deaths here. Today, the thick walls protect the crown jewels in all their artistic splendor, but we're off to seek artistic brilliance of another sort. Today's London is a hotbed of outstanding galleries and art openings, and a whole new generation of creative artists and designers is making the scene. An exciting new museum now showcases some of modern art's most edgy works. The recent opening of the Tate Modern in the former Bankside Power Station was a huge event for the art world. For nearly 20 years, this building provided electricity for London. Today, it's electrifying the British art scene. The Tate Modern displays international art from 1900 to the present. You'll see works by some of the world's most inventive contemporary artists, such as Dorothy Cross and Susan Hiller. And you'll also marvel at familiar 20th century masters. Pablo Picasso's startling portrait of a weeping woman was inspired by his relationship with photographer Dora Maar. Picasso's originality and virtuosity set the art world on fire. Salvador Dali's meticulous canvases are unnerving in their surreal imagery. And Andy Warhol's pop art is always eye-catching. Getting from site to site in London is actually simpler than first-timers might think, if you follow the locals. Seasoned travelers know the London Underground, or Tube, is the fast and easy way to get from place to place. Tube stations are marked with the distinctive red circle and blue crossbar.
The system is well organized and simple to use. You just pick the station you want, and keep in mind each line has its own color. For example, if you'd like to go from Oxford Circus to Mansion House, you take the brown line, transfer an embankment to the yellow or green line, right to Mansion House.
You can buy tickets for the Tube in vending machines or at a ticket office. It's easy to hop on the Tube and check out all of London's great traditional sites. Yes, tradition is alive and well in London. Buckingham Palace still stands at solemn attention. This is the official residence of the Queen. It became a royal residence in the mid-18th century when King George II needed room for his 15 children. The daily changing of the guard is London's most famous ceremony. It's a not-to-be-missed example of British pageantry. And while controversy dogs England's royal family, the royals are still beloved to the English, not to mention the rest of the world. A short ride away is another slice of British history. In 1666, the Great London Fire devastated medieval St. Paul's Cathedral. Church authorities brought in brilliant architect Christopher Wren to rebuild it. The Protestant church commissioners initially disapproved of Wren's inventive ideas. They thought his plan for a great Italian-style dome was too reminiscent of Rome. But eventually, they reached a compromise. The architect succeeded in creating one of the most awe-inspiring sights in London. Its dome, among the largest in the world, dominates the city skyline. The Tube is fastest, but no visit to London is complete without a ride in one of their famous taxis. You can't beat them for fun conversation and tips.
Standard is where the Queen is.
London cabbies are among the most knowledgeable in the world.
There is an older palace, and it's called St. James's Palace. Whenever an ambassador is sent to England, they are always presented at the court of St. James. But this, up until Victorian times, was where the kings and queens of England lived in actual fact. And now it's the Prince of Wales. He has his official apartments there.
The Houses of Parliament occupy the spot that's been the center of British government for more than 1,000 years, going back even farther than William the Conqueror. For centuries, British royalty and their advisors ruled from the old Palace of Westminster, which sat here until it was almost totally destroyed by fire in 1834. This grand Victorian masterpiece was erected in its place, built specifically to house Parliament. The two architects who designed it were said to have suffered nervous breakdowns from overwork and stress. But we thank them today for hanging in there. Can you imagine the London skyline without it? The tall clock tower on the eastern end of the Houses of Parliament has become the symbol of London. It's known universally by the name of its huge bell, Big Ben. Weighing 13 tons, the bell took 16 horses to haul it through the city.
You know what I love about London? It's such a great city to just walk and see, to be bowled over by endless memorabilia of Western culture.
Here are a few of my favorite legendary sites. At 221B Baker Street, you can visit the address made famous by Sherlock Holmes. Writer Sir Arthur Conan Doyle created the sleuth and gave him this address. Sure, it's fictional, but it's fun all the same. Why he chose this particular location is a bit of a mystery. In Conan Doyle's day, there was indeed a lodging house here, and a Dr. Watson even lived next door. Today, it's a museum. Beatles fans can head to 3 Abbey Road and walk the same crosswalk that the Beatles traversed for the cover photo of their Abbey Road album. John, Paul, George, and Ringo recorded most of their work in Abbey Road's studio just up the street. Those who love Charles Dickens can visit 48 Doughty Street to see the house where Dickens lived for 3 of his most productive years. Though Dickens had several homes in London during his lifetime, this is the only one that survives. Here he wrote some of his finest works, including Oliver Twist and Nicholas Nickleby. Harrods department store is a London institution. It sells an incredible range and diversity of merchandise, including food. The store's motto tells you all you need to know about Harrods. Everything for everyone, everywhere. And since we're talking about shopping, money comes to mind.
Nowadays, automatic teller machines have become the traveler's best friend when it comes to accessing cash abroad. Just remember, if your PIN is a word, you'll want to convert it to numbers, because most ATMs don't have letters on their keypads.
And some don't accept PINs longer than 4 digits. Check with your bank before you leave to find out where your card is accepted. For an oasis of calm and elegance in the middle of fast-paced London, we're splurging with a stay at the Athenaeum Hotel just across from Green Park. Independently run, the Athenaeum has the distinctive touches and attention to detail of a really fine hotel. But it still has a cozy, friendly feel. The Athenaeum is the ideal place to savor the English ritual of afternoon tea. In an elegant sitting room, a welcoming waitstaff lay out the traditional tea service. While many Londoners have made the switch to coffee, afternoon tea is still an English institution. And a full tea, complete with mouth-watering pastries, is an indulgence not to be missed.
What is with English people and tea every afternoon?
Well, I think they eat and drink a lot. It goes way back to Henry VIII, so it's always a good time to stop and have tea. It was very civilized, and people liked doing it, so we still do it.
So this is a break between meals?
Mm-hmm. The trick of it always is to put the tea in first and then the milk.
Do some people put the milk in first?
Yes. And you then make small talk or chat.
And one doesn't slurp no matter how hot it is, right?
One tries not to, yes.
England's reign as a world power made it fertile ground for advances in science and technology. The Science Museum contains more than 10,000 exhibits that show how science has shaped the modern world. As the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, 19th century England hurtled mankind headlong into the age of technical efficiency. In the Space Gallery, you can delve into how satellites and rockets work and speculate about the future of space exploration. Because science is constantly evolving, the museum's curators keep up with new discoveries by regularly introducing innovative displays. The Who Am I exhibit explores everyone's favorite subject, ourselves. It ponders such questions as, what makes us different from other animals? And what does DNA reveal about our genetic history? Digitopolis looks at the implications of digital technology today and for the future. Here you have to guess which of these everyday items, such as shoes, clocks, and stuffed animals, contain computer chips. You might be surprised at the answers.
Chip detected. Alert. Chip detected. Alert.
London is a colossal, pulsating city. Like all of the world's great cities, there seems to be endless cultural events and a rousing nightlife. The range of theatrical entertainment here is astonishing. As everyone knows, Londoners harbor a deep passion for theater. The city's West End neighborhoods glitter with ornate show palaces and flashy marquees. There are dozens of plays at any given time, everything from Shakespeare to Broadway hits to the latest experimental shows. And tickets here are generally cheaper than in New York.
I think I'll give my daughter in the States a call, tell her about the play I saw tonight. You know, you can now get cell phones in the States that work in Europe and Asia as well. Or you can rent one at most major airports when you arrive here.
They offer an easy way of staying in touch and are far cheaper than using a hotel phone. London's old reputation for drab food is long gone. Over the last several decades, it's turned itself into one of Europe's best restaurant cities. This revolution in eating is partly due to a growing demand for good restaurants and the fact that London is home to immigrants from all over the world. Today, the sheer variety of choices is almost overwhelming. There are elegant restaurants offering haute cuisine to friendly pubs with tasty fish and chips. When I'm here, I never miss a chance to have Indian food.
Chef, I'm Rudy Maxa. How do you do?
London boasts the best Indian food outside of India.
So I'm going to start with the chicken. So I should have the mint chutney with the chicken. What is it that makes Indian food so special?
And see, you're eating 4 different things, and 4 different food has got a different taste in your mouth, in your palate.
Years of British colonial domination of India brought many Indians to London, and with them, some exotic family recipes. The Tamarind restaurant is one of my favorites. Located in London's Mayfair district, it serves up a bounty of enticing North Indian-style dishes.
Oh, that's very nice. Very nice. Londoners feel about Hyde Park the way New Yorkers feel about Central Park. They adore it. This verdant span covers 2 miles, from raucous Speaker's Corner to the exclusive neighborhoods of Kensington and Chelsea.
King Henry VIII seized this property from the Benedictine monks because he had a yen for more hunting grounds. Actually, he wasn't the only royal to stretch out greedy hands for such ends. This was a popular regal practice for around 400 years. With democratization, these private reserves became public. The result? London today has 9 royal parks, large, wonderful, quiet spots in this hectic city. Hyde Park may be the best known to tourists, but you can see it's also well used by locals. 4 fountains adorn the north section in front of an Italianate summer house designed by Christopher Wren. If you make it to the south end of the park, take a peek at the famed Royal Albert Hall, London's splendid glass-domed concert hall. One of the city's most entertaining attractions, and one most everyone's heard of, is Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. The lines are always long, but it's worth the wait. The museum is like a big wax amusement park. You can walk walk right up to life-size models of the world's most famous people, like Mel Gibson.
You know, Mel, somehow I imagined you taller, you know what I mean? You see, with my backswing, I like to get low and under the ball, so it sort of lifts up over the net. What do you think?
Everyone who's anyone is here, from Henry VIII to Richard Nixon to Luciano Pavarotti. Creating these eerily lifelike figures is no small task.
Well, we do like to have a couple of sittings with the celebrities, and generally they are very cooperative. They love to come in and discuss with us the clothes. Quite often they'll donate the costumes that you can see them wearing. As you can see with Morgan Freeman here, we'll match the exact skin tone. The hair, every piece is inserted individually. Everything is completely exact, and we need those 2 sittings to make sure we are completely accurate.
How long does a sitting take?
I would say a couple of hours, and during that time they stand on a platform which is swiveled round and will take photographs from every conceivable angle, probably several hundred at least. Madame Tussaud was the tutor of Marie Antoinette just before the French Revolution, and she lived in the Palace of Versailles. Unfortunately for Marie, her association with the royal family nearly led to her untimely death. However, instead she was spared the guillotine in order that she promised to make the death masks of the executed noblemen. So quite a tragic and horrible, gruesome story. But she was a very astute businesswoman, and she moved to London, and her exhibition toured around this country and was very profitable.
Founded on the macabre, one of the museum's most important parts has always been the terrifying Chamber of Horrors. It's a gruesome collection of England's most notorious criminals and executioners. To really know London, naturally you'll want to do the celebrated museums and sites. But it's even more satisfying to engage in this city on a personal level, to find places that appeal to you. Our last destination is my favorite out-of-the-way spot, about 15 minutes from central London. Tucked in the picturesque suburb of Dulwich Village is one of London's hidden gems. The Dulwich Picture Gallery is England's oldest public art gallery. Housed in a beautiful, intimate space, it's a must for all art lovers. This outstanding collection of old masters contains works by Rubens, Rembrandt, and England's own Gainsborough. The gallery owes its existence to Stanislaus II, former King of Poland and paramour to Catherine the Great. He commissioned a pair of London art dealers to build a collection for a gallery in Warsaw. When Stanislaus abdicated in 1795, he left the artwork unpaid for, and the dealers were left with a royal collection on their hands. Fortunately, they were skilled businessmen, and the debacle didn't ruin them. The two spent the rest of their lives adding to the collection and eventually bequeathed it to Dulwich College. There are so many interesting and varied things to see and do in London that you can literally spend entire days just walking, browsing bookshops, sampling pubs, and meeting locals. London seems to have an endless amount of diversity, and discovering it on your own can be thrilling.
Hail Britannia! London no longer rules the world, but its images still rule our heart. And who knows, with London's vibrant new culture and sense of style, we may be just about due for another British invasion. Until next time, I'm Rudy Maxon.